Imagine pulling down a plastic storage bin from the attic. Inside, underneath a layer of dust, are the Transformers you played with in 1984. Optimus Prime with his trailer, Megatron, the silver gun, maybe a yellow Volkswagen Beetle that was actually Bumblebee. You pick one up, the joints are tight, the paint is intact, you still have the fists, the gun, the missiles, everything except the box. Now imagine a sealed cardboard box of 6 green and purple construction vehicles. The Constructicons, sold together as a Devastator gift set in 1985. Factory sealed, it is sold at auction for around $80,000. A toy that cost maybe $30 at a department store when it was new. But here is what nobody tells you. Most of the Transformers in attics are loose, played with, missing roller, the little blue cart that rolled out of Optimus Prime's trailer, missing fists, missiles, the tiny hands that peeked out of the forearms, no box, no grading. Those toys are worth $20 to $200. Respectable, nostalgic, not a down payment. The ones that sell for tens of thousands are sealed, never played with, factory tape intact, box corners sharp, and the ones in between, the ones that sell for thousands, hide their value in details so small that 2 generations of people have completely overlooked them. Today, we are going to learn what those details are. The story begins not in America, but in Japan. A company called Takara was producing 2 separate toy lines in the early 1980s. One was called Diaclone, robots that turned into vehicles, jets, and dinosaurs. The other was called Microchange, everyday objects that turned into robots, a cassette player, a gun, a microscope. These toys had no shared universe, no lore, no names beyond the model numbers. In 1983, Hasbro representatives walked through the Tokyo Toy Show and saw both lines. They did not see 2 separate products. They saw a single war, fought on Earth, between robots who could hide in plain sight. Hasbro licensed the molds from Takara and combined the 2 lines, then brought in Marvel Comics to create the backstory. Editor-in-Chief Jim Shooter built the overall story. Writer Bob Budiansky created the characters. He gave them names: Megatron, Bumblebee, Starscream, Soundwave. He gave them personalities, a home planet called Cybertron, and a war between the heroic Autobots and the evil Decepticons. The first wave of 28 Transformers hit American shelves in 1984. Smaller figures sold for around $3 to $10. Larger figures like Optimus Prime with his trailer sold for around $20 to $25. The toys were built with die-cast metal parts, real heft, real weight. The cartoon launched that same year. The comic book, the lunchboxes, the cultural domination was immediate and total. But here's the thing Hasbro did not know at the time. They were not just selling toys. They were seeding a collector market that, 40 years later, would turn sealed cardboard boxes into assets worth more than a new car. The most valuable Transformers toy ever sold is not a standard Optimus Prime. It is the Devastator Constructicon gift set from 1985. 6 separate robots, green and purple, construction vehicles, Scrapper the front loader, Bone Crusher the bulldozer, Scavenger the excavator, Mixmaster the cement truck, Hook the crane, Long Haul the dump truck. Each one transforms individually. Then all 6 combine into a single giant robot called Devastator, the first combiner ever released. The gift set box contained all 6 Constructicons in one package, with their weapons, their combiner parts, and an instruction sheet. The box was enormous. Cardboard, fragile corners. Most of them got torn open on a birthday morning and never survived the day. Finding one sealed with sharp corners and no shelf wear, is extraordinarily rare. A factory-sealed set once sold for about $80,000. That set carried only a middling AFA grade of 70. It was the auction, 2 determined bidders, that drove the price. More recently, a cleaner set graded AFA 80 sold for around $20,000. Even today, collectors call the Devastator gift set the most valuable Transformers release ever made. Number 2 is Optimus Prime, not the standard American release. A Canadian packaging variant from 1984 with slightly different box art and bilingual French and English text. A high-grade Canadian example has sold for over $40,000. A standard American Optimus Prime, in a comparable grade, sells for around $24,000. The difference is literally the language on the cardboard. Number 3 is Fortress Maximus from 1987, the largest Transformer of the original era, 22 inches tall in robot mode. It originally retailed for around $100, which at the time was an enormous price for a single toy. It transforms from a massive robot into a city and a battle station. The box is so large that almost nobody kept it intact. A sealed example, graded AFA 85, sold for about $30,000. Notice the pattern. Every single one of these record sales shares one thing: a sealed box, a box that some parent, decades ago, put on a high shelf and forgot about, a birthday present that never got unwrapped, a duplicate, a forgotten purchase, a child who wanted something else instead. But sealed boxes are not the only path to value. There is something stranger and harder to spot. In 1984, Hasbro sold a small red Autobot called Cliffjumper. He transforms into a Porsche. He is red. He has always been red. But for a brief moment, a different little robot appeared on Cliffjumper's card. Collectors now call him Bumblejumper, or simply Bumper. He looks like a yellow version of Cliffjumper. He is not. He came from a completely different Takara mold, the Mazda Familia 1500 XG, not the Porsche 924. Hasbro slipped this odd figure onto Cliffjumper cards in small numbers, probably to keep up with runaway demand in 1984. There was no special label, no indication on the card. He just showed up on shelves, and then he disappeared. After one shipment, Bumper was gone, never reissued, never sold anywhere else. Today, a sealed Bumblejumper on its card is insanely rare and sells for thousands of dollars. A regular Cliffjumper loose sells for $15 to $35. Even mint on the card, it is only a few hundred. The difference is a mold swap that Hasbro never announced, and that most collectors spent years not understanding. Then there is Jetfire. Released in 1985, Jetfire is an Autobot that turns into a sleek fighter jet. But Jetfire was not a Takara mold. It came from a rival company called Takatoku Toys. The mold was originally a Macross Valkyrie, from a completely different Japanese franchise. Hasbro licensed the mold and repainted it for Transformers. When Takatoku went bankrupt and Bandai absorbed the company, the licensing situation grew tangled. Jetfire was never released in Japan, where a rival held the rights, and the toy itself, mostly white plastic, was extremely prone to yellowing. Sunlight and age turned that bright white into a dull cream. A bright white, unyellowed Jetfire with all its accessories can sell for thousands. The same toy, yellowed, with missing parts, sells for a few hundred. The difference is sunlight. Literally, whether the box was stored in a dark closet or on a shelf near a window. There is one more factor. Something the collecting community calls gold plastic syndrome. It is not a metaphor. In the late 1980s and into the 90s, certain Transformers were produced using a metallic gold or swirled plastic. Over time, that plastic becomes brittle. It shrinks, it cracks, it crumbles into dust without any force applied. A toy sitting untouched on a shelf for years can simply disintegrate when you pick it up. The phenomenon is real and well documented by collectors. Black Zarak, a Japanese exclusive Decepticon from 1988 with striking gold and purple metallic parts, is one of the most famous victims. An intact Black Zarak, with all its gold parts still uncracked, sells for thousands, but intact copies are vanishing. Literally, the gold parts are disintegrating in real time, inside sealed boxes, inside collector display cases. Every year, there are fewer. Every surviving copper becomes more valuable simply because the others are turning to dust. This is not a market trend. This is chemistry. The plastic formula degrades on its own timeline, and nobody knew it 40 years ago when they manufactured the toys. Here is what connects all of these. A sealed Devastator gift set worth tens of thousands. A Bumblejumper hiding on a Cliffjumper card. A white Jetfire that never saw sunlight. A Black Zarak that is literally crumbling as it appreciates. The money was never in the toy. It was in the things nobody wrote down. Hasbro did not print a code on the Bumblejumper card. Did not announce it as a limited edition. Did not include a certificate of rarity. The figure just showed up in stores. The people who noticed the difference, who understood the Takara mold lineage, who knew the yellow figure came from the Familia mold and not the Porsche mold, are the ones who made thousands on a toy that cost a few dollars. The same is true of Jetfire. The yellowing issue was not disclosed on the packaging. The licensing fight that pulled Jetfire from Japan was not consumer-facing information. A kid in 1985 had no idea their Jetfire might outvalue their Optimus Prime. They just thought it was a cool jet. The people who tracked the licensing story, who knew the Macross connection, are the ones who held onto their white Jetfires. And gold plastic syndrome. Nobody tested the plastic formula for 40-year stability, because nobody planned for these toys to be worth anything in 40 years. The Black Zaraks are disintegrating inside their boxes, and the only people who can capitalize are the ones who even know the syndrome exists. The most valuable Transformers are not the ones marketed as rare. They became rare because of a factory decision Hasbro forgot to mention, a licensing fight that happened behind closed doors, a plastic formula nobody tested for the long term. The information that turns a $20 toy into an auction lot worth thousands was never on the package. So here is the question. If you pulled that bin of Transformers out of the attic tonight, would you know what you were looking at? Would you know that the yellow figure on a Cliffjumper card might be a rare Bumblejumper, worth many times what a common Cliffjumper is worth? Would you know that the white, unyellowed Jetfire is the one collectors chase? Or that a sealed Fortress Maximus is worth tens of thousands because the box was too big to survive a childhood? Would you know how to check the Canadian packaging on an Optimus Prime? Or that the Devastator gift set is the single most valuable Transformers release ever made? Subscribe to Money Fails. Real stories, real mistakes, real lessons. Because the most expensive Transformers toy in the world is not a convention exclusive with a numbered certificate. It is a Devastator gift set. 6 green construction robots from 1985, sealed in a cardboard box, sitting in an attic right now, because someone bought it for a birthday, put it on a high shelf, and never got around to wrapping it. See you in the next one.